Welcome to the Margin Business Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. In today's episode, we got Martin Ceruto. Martin is the Chief Executive Officer at Seller Universe, Ecommerce Group. He's helping Amazon sellers in North America to scale their business. They are not only the preferred partner of Amazon FBA aggregators, they are as well an Oracle NetSuite solution provider. And a part of that, it's really nice listening to him and having this conversation on the podcast. Don't miss this one. Welcome, Martin. Thank you for being here today, and it's really a pleasure having you, speaking with you about you today, because this is going to be your show. This is not our show. This is your show. You gotta tell us as much as you like about your life, how you got from the humble beginnings to where you are today, and obviously where you want to go. So Seller Universe live with Martin. Please tell us more about yourself, Martin, and where everything started.
Oh, thank you so much, Omar. So happy to be on the podcast. I really appreciate the invitation. So my name is Martin Ceruto. I'm the CEO of Seller Universe Ecommerce Group. And where did it all start? I was maybe like second or third year high school, and my mom was like, "You're going to be a lawyer, right? You're going to be a lawyer, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, totally. Corporate law, love being, love talking to people, being in court, litigating. That was very interesting to me. So I was like, yeah, I'll go into court and plead somebody's case and make a lot of money. And so my undergrad here in Ontario, in order for you to go to law school, it's a little bit different in like Australia and Europe and in some other countries. In order for you to go to law school, you have to have a 4-year undergraduate degree first. So for me,
Okay.
I thought, hey, why don't I get an undergrad that's related to law? So I actually went to college and got a Bachelor's of Applied Arts in Paralegal Studies. So for those who don't know, a paralegal is somebody who's like right under a lawyer. So it's like if you have a doctor and then a nurse, you would have a paralegal and then, you would have a lawyer and then a paralegal. So 4 years, I graduated. Thankfully, I had a scholarship, so it kind of helped pay for a little bit of the tuition. And then by the end of it, I wrote the exam and I was a licensed paralegal. And then from there, I'm like, okay, it's time to go into law school now. So I wrote the LSAT in order to get into law school. Made some applications to some law schools after my LSAT. And then maybe 6 months into working as a paralegal, I realized like maybe law is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. Was not something that spoke to me as much as I thought it would when I was, in high school. And so what am I going to do? What do I do next? I decided to go back into school. And at the time I was very involved in my church's nonprofit media department. They were producing television shows and podcasts and web content and all that stuff. And so I was very heavily involved in that as a volunteer. And I was like, hey, since I'm involved in a lot of media stuff, maybe I should go back to school and learn some stuff about media and communication. So I went to university, the York University, for my second degree, Bachelor's of Arts, majoring in communications and marketing. So I completed that in 2 years. It's supposed to be 4, but I decided to do summer as well, like full semester summer. So I was able to complete it in half the time. So after these 2 degrees under my belt, I needed to start paying off my student loans.
Sure, I was like, okay,
I know.
we have the lawyer here. We have the marketing manager on the other side. Is like, wow, this is like 2 completely different areas,
different. Yeah.
So just a question, just to throw in between.
Sure.
How do you do that? I mean, how do you get from law to marketing? Because from what I've seen, like your mother said, yeah, you're gonna study law, correct? You're like, okay, yeah. It's like you're not really like the law person. Maybe yes, but I mean, like really passionately doing this, maybe not. So you kind of listen to your mother, what she had to say, and
exactly.
I mean, parents' advice are always amazing. That's
Of
for
course,
sure.
of
But
course.
don't forget that they always want the best for us, and the
That's true.
most
That's true.
the income stream obviously is very good, but at some point it will stop, or you will crash through the roof, which only a very small percentage like sportives
Yeah.
will do. So yeah, just aside, it's very, very nice to see. So like now you have 2 degrees.
Yes.
How can you combine this together, or will you leave one behind and just pursue
Exactly.
the other one?
No, that's a great question. For me, what kind of connects the both of them is the ability to connect with people. As a lawyer, you have to advocate for somebody. You have to be able to connect with the judge, or connect with the jury, or connect with potential people you're going to represent and advocate for. And in marketing and communications, obviously, you're also trying to sell or communicate and market a particular brand or story or product. So there's a lot of communications in both types of degrees. But
Sure.
the difference is, for me, one of the main reasons why I was having a hard time in law, and full credit to those who are able to practice law and who are paralegals, is it was hard
Definitely.
for me to separate like my morals and ethics with what's happening with the client. Because as a lawyer or as a paralegal, your job is to do everything you can for your client, whether you think they did it or not, whether you think they're being truthful or not, whether you think, so long as you're not doing anything to put yourself in, liability for representing, false representation. You have to do the most that you can for your client, whether you
Sure.
like them or not, whether you agree with them or not, whether you think they're lying or not. And so for me, it was very hard for me to separate myself from my own willingness to say things that may not always be 100% true for the
It's
sake
very
of your
hard.
client.
Very
Yes, it
hard.
was very
Very hard.
difficult. So that's probably why I wasn't able to continue that career. But what I connected with communications and marketing was, it was very creative. I
Yes.
can use my communication skills to create very interesting and engaging and imaginative campaigns or collateral or events. There's so many creative outlets to communication through marketing that I found very, very very, very interesting. And so I was like, okay, let's take the second degree and see where it takes me. I was already very heavily involved in the nonprofit media department of my church. So I'm like, hey, I'm already doing this. I might as well upgrade my skills so that I can be even better. At that time, of course, I need to pay the bills. So I was working in a marketing department in a firm here in downtown Toronto. Shout out to First National and my boss there, Karen. Shout out to Karen. I don't know if she's ever going to listen to this, but she was my boss there. And that was probably the toughest like half of a year of my life working in her team. I learned so much, but she really held us all to a high standard. And for me, being, a 20-year-old who just came out of university, I thought like, hey, I've got 2 degrees. I know what I'm doing. And then I get thrown into this, corporate environment where it's a very high paced, I'm planning events at like the Ritz Carlton. I'm planning events at, certain venues costing us $150,000 a night,
Yes.
to put
Different
these.
from law. Yeah.
Yeah, very different from law. And for me, it's like my neck is on the line now. It's me. I'm
Yeah.
putting my work and my name and my reputation as somebody as part of her team, and also the reputation of the company. So it was a lot of pressure to represent myself and represent the company well to these clients who are in residential mortgages, who are in commercial mortgages. That's what the company was. It was a mortgage firm. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. It was getting me my first exposure into this corporate world with these high rollers, with these people who are really talking serious business and money.
Okay.
And then at that point, I got a call actually from one of our ministers in my church, and he was like, "Hey, would you be open to working full time as part of our media department?" And I didn't hesitate, because as much as I was enjoying that job, my number one calling was to be able to give back. And I'm very, very spiritual and very, very involved in my church. So when the media department needed some help in creating content and marketing some of our shows, it was a no-brainer for me. It's like I'm already very spiritual person. I have the skills to help with what they needed help with. There's so much they can teach me, first and foremost, as a Christian and as somebody who can use my skills to help other people. So I did that for 8 years, Omar. I think seven
Okay.
to 8 years. I was in nonprofit media, creating podcasts and TV shows, a kid show, a show about relationships, a news show, A
That's
lot of
why
different.
that's why it's so nice listening to you when you speak, you know.
Oh,
That's
thank you very
now we
much.
got
It's
it.
it's many years in training. At the very beginning, my voice did not. It was like this. This is what my voice sounded like. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so it's
Okay.
almost 8 years of probably the best years of my life. Honestly, just devoting myself as much as I can to helping the church and um, utilizing my creative skills and communications and marketing to really push the envelope in the kind of content that we were creating for people around the world, not just people who went to my church, but to people who had never heard about us before, to people who wanted to, be uplifted and all that stuff. So it was really, really
Okay.
great to promote those kind of values around the world. And
Okay.
then I
So
got married.
what year are we talking about here?
Oh, this is probably when I was like from 25 to 24, 25, maybe till like 33, 34 was like the bulk, almost 10 years actually. Maybe it was more than
Okay.
8 years.
Okay.
It was a long period of my life where I was very, very heavily involved.
Okay.
Like I said, I still
So
look back on it very fondly. It's probably the best time of my life.
okay. So then you said you got married, correct?
Then I got
We
married,
we
and
we are still not at the e-commerce
we're not even
assumption,
at Cell
We're not
Universe
even
yet.
there. So
But this is the turning point. So for me being part of that for almost 10 years, it wasn't about the money, right? It was really about how much we can help and how much we can be of service, right? But then I got married, and for me, I really took my responsibility as the husband, as the head of the household, as being able to provide very, very, very seriously. And you know, everybody has their own path and how they approach managing their household, right? So for
sure.
me, I wanted to provide for my wife as much as I could. And a good friend of mine was like, "Hey, if you're looking to make some side money, some side hustle, I have a friend who's looking for some help with some Amazon copy. Writing the
Hmm.
titles, the bullet points, the descriptions. So if you need some side hustle, then let me know and I can connect you with some of these people who could probably use some of your skills." And for me, it was great. I know how to
Sure.
write. I did an undergrad trying to be a lawyer, so I know very much how to write well to advocate for a client. I did communications and marketing, so I know the marketing side of it. So I was like, perfect, it's coming together. And then in my 10 years working in the nonprofit, I was already writing scripts and I was already writing, show briefs and descriptions and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, this is right up my alley. And so I started writing Amazon copy. And at first I was like, hey, I can write maybe like 4 a week.
Yeah.
And then I
That's the
was talking to,
problem, when you're
yeah,
on your own, it's very demanding, and it's
it is.
it's not it's not just writing like, yeah, I'm gonna write something, it's really serious,
Yeah. They were like, they wanted me to write. They're like, "Hey, how much can you write?" But I actually took it the other way. So you're
Okay,
you're
right.
very, you're very right, Omar. It's demanding, but for me, I was very hungry. So I was
Okay.
like, "How much can I write? I can write 4." And they're like, "Yeah, sure." And then next week, I'm like, "Hey, can I write like 8?" They're like, "Yeah, no problem." So I wrote 8, right? And for those who don't understand, writing a listing optimization takes time, right? You're
Oh
harvesting the
yes.
keywords, you're trying to make it sound like people actually want to read it and understand it. The title has to be 200 characters, the bullet points have to be like 2,500, the description has to be 2,000, and like it can't just be stacking keywords. It has to read well enough for the person who wants to buy the product to understand these features. And you have to position some of these keywords in a way that it looks natural and organic, and it doesn't just look like a bunch of clumped up words put together because the algorithm will be able to find it.
Like
So
in
it's an art.
2013.
Exactly. Back in the wild, wild west of Amazon
Exactly.
days.
Exactly.
So, whether you're working with Omar and his team to optimize in Europe, or if you're working with anybody who's optimizing listings in North America, at the end of the day, copy is a significant part of
Definitely.
growing any kind of brand and making any kind of sales on Amazon, just by the fact that your SEO content needs to be read well by the algorithm, but it also, for the customer, when they see it and they read it, needs to be read well to them as your target demo, right? So it's a mixture of art and science. But for me, I loved it. I'm like, I love it. I'm able to make a lot of side hustle money, because I want to really take care of my wife. And that went on for a couple of months until, I met another person, and then slowly but surely, I was kind of making a name for myself as providing these fractional support in marketing, in listing optimizations, and e-commerce that Eventually, I got an offer from somebody else to be their marketing manager for their small real estate company. And she was running webinars and she wanted to develop products and it was a lot of stuff that she wanted me to kind of run for her. A really good friend of mine, Jewel, shout out to Jewel.
Hey,
And
Jewel.
hey, Jewel, this is for you. And I really, really enjoyed that time with her as well. I learned a lot from her. She was really, really smart. She actually was like the co-senior like director of like real estate sales at Berkshire Hathaway, which is like super
Okay.
huge, obviously.
Wow. Yeah.
Warren Buffett, and she lives in San Diego. And then after that,
Wow.
another friend of mine was like, "Hey, you know what? Like, I want you to join my team, to come to my company, and let's build this thing together." And initially, the offer was to be the CMO, the chief marketing officer, and then from there, turn into CEO. And yeah, that's kind of the path, was for me wanting to do the most that I could for my family, for my wife, leveraging, my God-given skills and the schooling that I had in law and communications and marketing and all the different experiences that I had from people like Jewel to support where I am today. And
Wow.
as the CEO, am I still writing listings at Cell University Comms Group? I'm not, you know, but what I love about my position right now is that I'm working with people who were like me before. Whether
Yes.
you're a VA who's writing, whether you're a creative designer in Europe who's looking to do some, Amazon A plus content, whether you're a PPC specialist who just needs to find more clients, like we bring all of those people in house. You become part of the Cell Universe or SUEG team. And it's my job to nurture that talent and connect them and connect our company with clients who can really leverage our services. When it says
Okay.
there behind me,
I
we
can.
scale, passionate e-commerce brands. That's what it's all about. Like I tell clients all the time, it's not about working with every single Amazon client out there or every NetSuite client. Like we don't want to work with 100% of the market share. That's unsustainable and unrealistic. But for me, I just want to
Exactly.
work with people who are passionate, people who love their brand, people who want to scale on Shopify, who want to grow their presence on Amazon, people who are big enough that they want to implement NetSuite. Like that's the conversations I want to have. And then obviously with partners like you, Omar, that's what I want to do is
Yeah, that
is
builds a strong
know
network.
exactly. Am I the expert in Amazon Europe? Absolutely not. You know what I mean? If somebody needs help with that specifically, I'm going to tell them to go to Omar. Like why would we do anything that's outside of our zone of genius? I didn't go to school for that. That's not my passion. That's Omar's passion. That's Omar's team's job, right? So for me, that's what's fulfilling for me as the CEO now is empowering people around the world to be able to compete on the global stage and to build relationships with people who we can co-leverage each other's skill set so that everybody wins together.
Wow. I really love that. This last sentence, definitely. I need to play this again. This is a really nice quote. I really
I
like it.
appreciate that.
So yeah,
Yeah.
look, I can see in the back already your passion.
Mm-hmm.
I can see everything. It looks like a setup. It looks like, but it's not. It's just like how you look.
It's my office.
It's
This is for real.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like us. We not just living when we're not just talking about languages or different cultures or listing optimization. We live this every day. It's the
Absolutely.
passion. It's what we do, is what we born to do, and is what we need to bring further as well. So when I look in the back there, can you tell me, do you use a telephone or do you use a PC? Because it looks very, very well set up. I mean,
Oh,
like,
thank you very much. Yeah, no, this camera right here is not a webcam. It's actually a mirrorless camera. It's like a Sony
okay,
A6400.
okay,
So I'm
I get
using
it.
a
Very good.
DSLR.
This is
Thank
some
you.
this is some pro setup here. So I need to learn from you. So next
Oh
time,
man.
I need to, I have here my iPhone, and then on the other side I have my
Yeah. You know
so
why?
yeah,
It's like this. So for
exactly,
example, what
exactly.
what I learned in trying to study to become a paralegal and hopefully a lawyer, appearances, optics is very, very important, right?
Definitely.
And to be able to give your client the most advantage that you can in relating to maybe the jury or relating to the judge, or right, or to be able to present your case, you got to dress them a certain way, you got to speak a certain way, you got to present yourself in a way that's going to further your case. So for me, if I'm talking to you, Omar, and I want you to sign up for our services and we can win together, if I can get a really great camera, so that you can appreciate the environment that I'm talking in. If I can get a really good microphone so that you can understand the words that I'm enunciating in a way that's connecting with you, right? Even when you hear the audio on your headphones, if it's more immersive, if it's more full, if it's something that's a little bit more warm to listen to, then I'll take all of those advantages that I can so that we can build a relationship, we can establish, a professional working partnership. Otherwise, why bother? You know what I mean? Like if I want to grow my business, I'm not just going to take like a $2 webcam, and call in
Sure.
the middle of like a basement and like look all dingy. Like maybe some people don't care. Maybe, and that's fine. But for me, I'm going to do everything that I can to advocate for the company.
I think it's super important what you just mentioned, because when you go to a meeting, you expect the other person. I mean, as long as we're not somewhere meeting in a beach club, then we don't come in flip flops and shorts.
You'd be
I don't mind.
surprised.
Yeah, I don't mind about that. But if we meet somewhere in a hotel in a larger city, you expect to have your client. Your client will expect that you come
Of
kind
course.
of representing the brand, the company, with a
Hmm.
serious behavior, seriously dressed. This is,
Hmm.
maybe it's old school thinking from my point, and looking really good, looking, just like as you just said, because the first
Hmm.
impression is very important. And I think this will
Absolutely.
never change, because human stays human, be it
Of
50
course.
years ago or now.
You're 100% right. Nailed it.
So yeah, this is what I wanted to say about that point. But
Sure.
going as well to the other point for seller university, for seller
Yes.
universe. For me, it's super important having you in this network. And as well, what I think is important, you are definitely bringing a lot of value in. Can you just break down a little bit,
Sure.
what exactly, how you can scale the business, the Amazon business, for other
Hmm.
brands, and what
Got it.
makes you different from others, which are, I never call them competitors, I call them peers, because the
Sure. Sure.
ecosystem of Amazon is so
Of
small,
course.
and it will
Yeah.
grow so big. We all have space in there to make money.
Of course. No, great question. So to answer your first question, how does one grow and scale and really, first of all, how do they launch, how do they grow, and then how do they scale their products on Amazon, right? Let's assume you
Exactly.
already have a .com. For anybody who's launching a product or brand, you already have your own website, right? Now you start thinking about, should I go into Amazon, right? Is that something that is worth my time? I actually spoke in a webinar about this like 2 weeks ago. In 2021, I'm just going to read off a quick stat here, okay? All online purchases that happened in North America, 56.7% was Amazon. So more than
That's
half of all
crazy. I
online
know. I know. I've
purchases
I've heard about that.
is Amazon. So if you're trying to launch into the North American space, it's a no-brainer, right? Walmart, sure, eBay, Etsy, nothing wrong with those marketplaces at all. I look at this graph, 6.2% was Walmart, which is fine. But if you're not on Amazon, then that's 57% of the entire online space that you're not even leveraging, which for me, I think makes no sense. If you're really going to be an e-commerce brand, you want to sell your products online, then you need to have an Amazon strategy in place. Okay, great.
Definitely.
Let's assume I want to launch my products into Amazon. Is it going to cost me a lot? Is it going to be difficult? One, yes, it's going to cost money. And two, yes, it's going to be difficult, right? The reason why it's 57% is because there are so many options. That's part of Amazon's flywheel, right? That perpetual flywheel that Amazon uses to introduce new products so that you have more choices. More choices lowers down the cost, and lower down the cost brings in more people brings in more brands. So it keeps going. It's a perpetual flywheel. So naturally, like you mentioned, unlike 2013, back in the day when it was just like, I'll throw whatever product on there. It doesn't need to be optimized or not, so long as people find it. Those days are gone. So obviously, there are a lot more barriers of entry into Amazon, and there are a lot more competitors. Having said that, if 57% of all sales are going to Amazon online last year, then all the more there's more of a pie to go around, so long as you're launching correctly. So, what does that look like? So, for us at Cell Universe, we actually have a process called MH1, and what MH1 stands for is Market Hyper Accelerator. And it's built out of 3 stages: the build stage, the drive stage, and then the maintain stage. So you decide, okay, my name is Omar. I'm going to launch, Omar's awesome headphones. What's my first step? right? So you get your brand registered, make your brand store, create your listing. All of these things, your title, your bullet point, your description, your photos, is part of the build stage. The absolute goal of that stage is to be retail ready. You are not thinking about anything else. Should I introduce even more products? Should I start doing PPC? Should I start doing DSP? Not yet. Because if you do any of those things before your listing is considered retail ready, then you're just wasting time and money, right? Make sure your title, your bullet point, your description is optimized. You have 6 out of 6 images. You have a video on there. You have A+ content. Your brand store is registered, or your brand is registered, and you have a brand store. Those are the absolute basic things. And then, of course, you want to have at least, I think, 15 reviews. You want to make sure you're 3.5 stars and above. All of these things are contributing to what we call retail readiness, because there's a concept on Amazon called the Maldives honeymoon, for those who don't know. And essentially, I know we're getting a little bit deeper, Omar, I apologize. But what that means is in the first maybe 3 to 6 months, it's not an exact science, but within that time frame, Amazon will give you a natural bump in your rankings because you've just launched. So you really want to leverage that 3 to 6 month time period with the most retail ready listings that you can, and introducing the right kind of PPC strategy. So you're done, retail ready, great. Next step is driving traffic to your listings. That's when we start talking about PPC. And then from there, maintain stage, that's when we start introducing new products, making sure that we're engaging with your customers, we're managing reviews, right? And we're establishing brand governance, defending the buy box if you have any competitors. So again, you build, which is the goal is to get retail ready. That's your launch. Drive, the goal there is to increase sales by getting more traffic and awareness to your listings. And then maintain, making sure that all the back end stuff is still running well while you keep expanding your product catalog or portfolio. So very, very systematized. If you talk to any other peer in this space, any other agency who's providing the service, my hope would be that they have a similar service. If they do, then it's great. At the end of the day, I even recorded a video about this, Omar. We all have the same tools, whether you're in Europe or in Canada or in North America. Like if you're on the Amazon marketplace, we all have the same tools roughly that we're pulling, right? It all depends on who's going to pull it for you, right? And is there a process in place? Because even if we all have access to the same tools and features, we don't all have the same level of skills. And number two, we don't all have the same system in place to execute these things correctly to really maximize your growth on Amazon. And that's a decision our clients or people who are listening can make. And that's a judgment call they can make when they talk to people like us or other people similar to the space. Wow. Now, in terms of how do we differentiate ourselves from our other peers or other service providers who offer maybe some similar services. So for us at Seller Universe, we have 3 main verticals. It's NetSuite, Amazon, and Shopify, right? Anything outside of that really isn't something that we touch. So for example, Google Ads is not something that we're going to go out there and market, Facebook ads, TikTok influencer strategy. We have a social media department, right? But it's really, really niche. It's not something that we go out there and say, hey, this is our bread and butter. We really kind of focus and provide those services to our existing clients. But at the end of the day, it's NetSuite, Amazon, and Shopify. Why do we choose this vertical, or why do we choose these 3? If you're launching a brand, you need a website. There's your Shopify. If you want to enter Amazon, you need Amazon help. There's your Amazon. And if your Shopify and Amazon are doing super duper well and you're in the 7, 8, 9 figures by the end of the year, then you need to start thinking about an ERP, an enterprise resource planning tool. And the number 1 ERP in the world is Oracle NetSuite, right? And NetSuite can apply to a lot of different industries. It doesn't all have to be e-commerce or product-based, but we specialize in NetSuite e-commerce. What does that mean? So say Omar's headphones does so well, you're selling 10, 20 million a year. But here's the problem, Omar. When you look at all of the different departments in your company, maybe you have an IT department, maybe you have a customer service department, maybe you have a sales department, you have your manufacturing department that connects with your warehouses, maybe you have a retail department, maybe you have your accounting department, right? Maybe you have an HR department. Maybe you have a CRM. So now you're talking about 8 different departments, all utilizing 8 different tools. One is using Bill.com, one is using Xero, the other one is using QuickBooks, right? There's so many apps, and none of those things are bad individually. But in order for Omar to go from 10 to 15 million to 30 to 50 million, right, you need to be able to find a tool that will cohesively connect all of these departments together dynamically. And that's what NetSuite does. And where we specialize in NetSuite is being able to connect you as a brand owner to the right types of apps or integrations so that you're actually maximizing your investment in NetSuite. So for example, a lot of our clients come to us and say, hey, we want to integrate NetSuite. We have a couple of aggregators that we're doing the NetSuite implementation for. And we say, sure, we're the one that maps out their entire ecosystem. We connect all of the different connectors and demand planning and 3PL, so on and so forth. So we will integrate all of that for them. What if they already have NetSuite and they don't know who to integrate or what to integrate to really maximize their NetSuite investment? So, for example, they have a bunch of marketplaces. We would recommend Celigo. Celigo, obviously, the number one connector for NetSuite. What if they need demand planning? Hey, I don't know if I can accurately forecast my inventory. I have so many different brands. I'm dealing with so many different reports. We would advise Fleber. We've implemented and integrated Fleber in a lot of different NetSuite implementations. What about 3PL? Who's going to be the one that's going to get my stuff from the manufacturer to the warehouse to my customers? We've also integrated with Snap Fulfill. So the expertise in knowing what to integrate and being able to integrate them at a rate that will really be cost effective is very, very, I don't want to say the word tempting, is a valuable proposition for those like you, Omar, who want to go from 15 to 30 to 40, right? What we're doing here is we're saving time and we're making a cost effective solution that will really maximize the amount you've already invested in NetSuite. So that's how our three verticals come into place. You're selling a product, you're a brand, you're just launching. Great. We're talking about Amazon, we're talking about Shopify. You've already launched, you're doing well, you want to do even better, but you just need to be able to demand plan things properly, connect all of your departments together. Now we're talking about NetSuite, specifically e-commerce, connectors, integrators, and apps that will really maximize your NetSuite investment. I hope that makes sense.
Definitely, completely, because the point that I wanted to make is like to see where you actually differ from other companies. And this one, what can I say? You just kind of sold me your services because it's unique. It's much needed because you have to think in the future. You should not be thinking about right now, or maybe it's too expensive, maybe it's too much hassle to bring it on. I will need an account manager, I will need this and that only for the NetSuite program. But I think it's definitely a very good point if you are up for growth, and everyone should be up for growth, because we don't go in the e-com biz to have fun. Obviously to have fun on one way, yes, but we want to make a change, we want to help people, and eventually we want to make lots of cash to help even more people afterwards.
Of course.
So I think it's a very valid point. So we come to the point where we say, where can anyone contact you, and what is the best way to get in contact with you?
So the absolute best way, if you find yourself in Vegas in like 2 weeks, September, let me check the dates here. From September,
I think it's 27th, 22nd,
19th to the 22nd, we're actually going to be in Las Vegas at Helium 10 Cell Scale Summit. So Cell Universe is actually a signature sponsor along with 8Fig and Walmart and Amazon. So us four are the signature sponsors at this summit. What does that mean? We have a booth. So if you want to check us out, I think we're booth 337. We're like right off the center.
337.
337. If you don't see it, if you don't know where it is, I'll be the loudest one there. I'll be jumping around and handing out free chocolate and stuff like that. So that's the best way. Yeah, and we're not going to do the small kind. We're going to do the big size.
Okay.
Bars. Yeah.
Just
we actually have 3 really cool offers that we're offering. Let me just go on our website. So if you meet us at the booth, we're giving away a 10-hour NetSuite support consultation. So we'll meet with you. We'll do a quick audit.
That is something really big.
Oh, it's huge. I can't eat food now because it's such a good offering. I've lost all my money. I'm just kidding. So we're going to do it. That's the first offer for NetSuite. For those who need Amazon, we're going to do a comprehensive Amazon account audit. We usually charge like $2,000 for that audit. We're giving that away for free. We're also going to do a Shopify website analysis. So if you want to know if your SEO is really good, if it's loading too slow, if there's any kind of back-end coding or design issues that's affecting the purchasing journey on your Shopify. So one of those 3, 2 of those 3, if you want all of those 3, more than welcome to join us at Cell Scale Summit. Visit our booth and claim those offers. And I'd love to meet you in person. Gary V is actually going to be the keynote speaker along with Neil Patel and Jeff Cohen from Amazon.
Well, it's going to be an amazing event, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. We actually have a private VIP lounge during Gary V's keynote. So I'm extending
Okay.
my offer to you, Omar. Anybody who's listening to this podcast, if you find yourself there in Vegas and you want to join us, we have 20 seats in this VIP lounge. So it's first come, first serve. But if you're going to go, Omar, I'll save you your seat, and we can watch
Amazing.
Gary Vee talk together.
Wow.
Yeah. But if
Great.
you're not going to
Great.
if you're not going to go to Vegas, then just, hit me up on LinkedIn, just Martin Zeruto. You can find me on LinkedIn, or martin@celluniverse.agency. And just send me an email.
Okay. And I will put as well everything under after we cut the video, everything will be put in place so we can.
Yeah. Can I
you
say
can
one more
contact
thing?
Martin. Yes, sure, Martin.
I just want to say for anybody who's listening, Amazon is not just exclusive to North America. So if there's anybody here who, is thinking about Amazon Europe, if you haven't already, then talk to Omar. These are two different lanes in the same highway that is Amazon. And if you need help with Europe, go to Omar. He's the guy to go to. And if you're looking to go to North America, then talk to me. And if it's vice versa, everybody wins. But at the end of the day, he's the handsomer person on this call. That's for sure.
Oh, no, that's not true.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Martin. It was great talking to you.
Of course.
Hope we can do this again in person. If we meet in Las Vegas, I think we should sit down 10 minutes with a mic and just have a.
Oh, let's do it.
I love it.
Sing karaoke or something.
It's a new concept in my head. I want to sit down with all the sellers I met already online.
Let's do it.
Just have a 10-minute talk. Yeah, great. Thank you so much. It was great talking to you.